like my own private class.
I know, they usually come late though. Um, I like it better like that.
Aloha and Tashi Delay from Kauai Tibetan Buddhist Dharma and Healing Center here in Hawaii, and I'm Lama Tashi. We do this class every week from 6 to 8 on Thursday night, and it's recorded and put on our website, kauaidharma.org. When we do these classes, it's called Bodhisattva Training School. Bodhisattva Training School simply means that in the human condition, the highest form of attainment in the human body is a bodhisattva. And when the Buddha took birth 2,600 years ago, that was his whole regimen. That was his whole 45 years of giving teachings about how to be a mature human being, man or woman, was simply engendering what is called the two bodhisattva mind training aspect, or bodhicitta in Sanskrit. Chitta means mind. Bodhi means pure, but not pure in the sense of all-knowing, but pure in the sense of lack of a judgmental mind, which is how we are in the human condition. And what we need to purify is this judgmental quality. And it arises from emotional afflictions based on the idea that we exist separate from what we are sensing and thinking about. And that idea of separation causes us to preform or preposition our mind to make judgments about what we are sensing. And so when we sense something, we see something, or become attached essentially to something, we judge it, either good or bad, and that judgment causes the emotional afflictions to arise, and this whole program, which is what it is so firmly established in our stream of being from birth that it's a habit. It's a habitual form of tendency. Now you must understand that these tendencies came from previous lives, and they're subliminal. And for the human condition to be effective, one has to transform these negative tendencies that cause us pain and suffering into positive. And that transformation is the whole process of being in the Buddhist tradition of Bodhisattva. How do we start to do this is by taking refuge in a support system that has been in place for 2,600 years. From Shakyamuni Buddha down through India and all the Himalayan countries, from Bhutan to Afghanistan, Kashmir, Nepal, Sikkim, Ladakh, all of those countries, and including most of Tibet and Mongolia and a little bit of Eastern China and part of Russia. Now, all of that was what we call barbaric. But more than that applied to the social structure. And of course, in the 10th century, when Tibetan Buddhism started, what is called Tibetan Buddhism started to take hold, the barbaric system was enforced by Genghis Khan, and then his son, and then his son's son. So that lasted for around 180 years. And In the process, Buddhism was established because Genghis Khan ordered it. He would have all the traditions come to his court, wherever that was, and the demonstration of their abilities and power, which is what he was all about. He designated or proclaimed that Buddhism would be the only one that would be supported wherever he went. Now, in our situation in the Western world, it was transformed from Tibet when the Chinese took over in 1950 up until the present day. They forced the shamanistic lamas, the teachers, to flee Tibet. And thank you very much, China, because now we have this Bodhisattva tradition globally. It has spread from eastern Tibet to Europe, and then from Europe to the United States and Canada, and now South America, Australia, New Zealand, many, many different countries. When we start with the Bodhisattva training program, we start by taking refuge in what we call our own natural, non-judgmental state of mind. And we all possess it. In fact, all sentient beings have that, but only humans can connect to it. And the training is simply transforming the judgmental program, which causes us physical, mental, and emotional pain and suffering, just taking the energy of that and with practice, gradually removing that negative quality and transforming it into a positive quality in whatever lifestyle situation we find ourselves. Most people in this tradition practice what is called the sutra. And the sutras are based on what is called the Hinayana, or the vehicle of the Arhat, which is similar to Hinduism and other traditions, which means the solitary realizer. And then once you've established that motivation to remove yourself from this judgmental mind and its results, then the Mahayana system, which is called the all-pervasive nature of mind, as a motivation to have all beings realize that they are, that that's their true nature. That is the next level of practice of the Bodhisattva. And in the Dharma centers in the West, they practice this morning and evening with practices of what they call sutra texts. And these sutra texts are performed either singularly or in groups in the morning and evening in those Dharma centers, and then on special days throughout the year by what they call the following of the Tibetan calendar. Then part of that practice is Vajrayana. Now, Vajrayana is also called Tantra. And that, in that aspect, you're going directly with the aid of the Mahayana altruistic motivation to bring all beings to realize their true nature, to you directly realizing your nature of mind by the pointing out instructions of your teacher, the Lama, man or woman. And with the backing of the entire lineage, which is in place, as I said, globally, and has been back to the Buddha Shakyamuni. So there's an unbroken lineage from the Indian tradition, Tibetan tradition, and now the Western tradition, down to the present day to us. And there's a lot of power transformed as a support for your practice through all of that connection. That's what you're taking refuge in. And of course, all Buddhists take refuge in the Buddha, which is the original Buddha Shakyamuni, and adjusting their mind to that term Buddha, which means mature. And when we do this in the Tibetan tradition, we add the sutra and tantra practices with what we call deity, peaceful and protector and dakini deity yoga practices. And the reason for those is with their mantra and mudra, meditation, and so forth, is to so that you understand that this world that you are sensing and constantly thinking about is illusory. It's a fabrication. An easy way to understand that is we have past, present, and future. Future doesn't exist because it hasn't happened yet. But yet we project a lot of things in tomorrow, next day, next year, next life. Then also we have the past. Well, the past doesn't exist because it's gone. It's not in the present. And it's easy to understand that as a time situation, that as soon as you sense something or think about something, in the next moment it's in the past, which means it doesn't exist in the present. Therefore, it doesn't have really a lot of value, effective value, as a way to not only remove pain and suffering, but also to acquire what you need. Enough food, enough shelter, and so forth. Now I'm explaining all this because a lot of people say, well, why bother with the refuge? Why bother with this bodhisattva training? Why bother with the altruistic motivation? Well, there's no other way to do this. You can't do it by yourself. And you learn that in the other traditions, which we call the Hinayana, or the self-realizer, or the tradition of the Arhat, because they don't really deal with the emotional program. They might be effective on many other aspects, but when it comes to the emotional, your idea of the self and who you are is so firmly ingrained, this and all the lives previous to this, that it has its own power. And because of that, you need to have an outer support. Yes, you need to internalize the practices, but you need an outer support to deal with the ego that constantly wants to throw its own idea of what's the right thing to do into this already established program. So we're going to start with the altruistic motivation, which takes you into the level of infinite possibilities, and it starts you moving right into a state of happiness because it's all about everyone else in the entire universe. All the animals, all the humans, and all the spirits on all the worlds and throughout space is this first prayer we're going to say now. In order to attain enlightenment for ourselves and limitless sentient beings, our mothers, we now all together take refuge and offer prostration. We go for refuge to all glorious holy lamas. We go for refuge to all the idams or the deities gathered in our mandala. We go for refuge to all the Buddhas, those that conquered the mind and gone beyond. We go for refuge to all this supreme Dharma. We go for refuge to all the noble Sangha. And we go for refuge to all the Dakas and Dakinis who are the protectors and defenders of Dharma. All of these possess the eye of transcending awareness. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and this supreme assembly, we go for refuge until enlightenment. May I, through merit gained from practicing the 6 bodhisattva perfections, accomplish Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. And we chant this in Sanskrit. for two reasons. One, that's how we communicated to all the cultures of the planet. And the second reason is this is how we communicated to the spirits that inhabit our body and everything around it. So I'm going to say the altruistic motivation chant in Sanskrit, and then we'll chant the refuge prayer and the Bodhisattva six perfections prayer in Sanskrit. And that's on the left side of this sheet. So I'll do the altruistic motivation. Dagdam Yuva Namge Dadam Yamte Sanchem Damche Yudine Junte Jisi Chenchu Nimpo Lachi Bardu Alden Lama Dampa Namla Japsu Chio Yedam Chokorhi Lato Namla Japsu Chio Sanjay Chom Dende Namla Japsu Chio Dampe Chur Namla Japsu Chio Valde Gendu Namla Japsu Chio Rao Ganjo Shokyo Shume Shoyesheki Shedam Sepa Namla Japsu Chio Sanjay Chodam Choti Chodam Magenchu Bardu Dodi Chapsu Chi Nagi Jinto Jipe Chodam Chodam Pinju Sanjay Jubam Shod. The six perfections, the six disciplines of the Bodhisattva training school are the basis of all the practice, whether it be the Hinayana level, Mahayana, or Tantric Vajrayana. And they are practiced on two levels. One, with the judgmental mind in connection to everything and everybody else. The second level is connecting to your own true nature, your natural mind, which is not in the drama world. It's the real refuge. It's the safe zone. And we all possess this, and we've already entertained it. We've had cases of connecting to it, but we're not using it as the most powerful source to heal the cause of pain and suffering. And has infinite possibilities. It's kind of like the cloud in a computer program. They're taking all the used energy of all the computers on the planet and performing certain functions in the computer system. And we're doing that same thing with this other nature of our mind. Now we use the word other because it hasn't been firmly established. But it actually exists as an antidote cause to the drama mind. And so they're already in the same mind. And a lot of people think, well, we're going to find the answers out here. That's impossible. Out here is an experiential world. And it's really exciting. It's wild. And it also has infinite connotations. And what happens is we get stuck in the experiences and more identify with those experiences as who we are. And that causes the judgmental mind, the emotional programming, the tendencies that have come forward from past life to this life, it cause you a lot of trouble, constantly, 24/7. And you don't have to believe this. You don't have to have blind faith about it. Every single one of us are experiencing this, either physically, mentally, emotionally, but some of us spiritually. And the ones that are experiencing it spiritually are starting to wake up from the physical, mental, and emotional drama program. And that's what we call spiritual accomplishment or spiritual practice. And that's the other function of these 6 disciplines. The first is generosity, which is absolutely necessary. And the generosity in our tradition is always extended to everybody else. Why? Because there's no such thing as separation, so obviously you're in the program. Number 2 is morality. Now, one person's morality is another person's immorality. So you gotta bring it down to something more definitive. Like, you have to include ethics. You have to include good manners, depending what culture you find yourself in, or what group, or whoever you're dealing with in relationship. But the morality part is simple. You don't intentionally harm yourself, which is a biggie. You don't intentionally harm others, and that includes animals, spirits, and humans. And you don't intentionally harm your environment, which is the big problem on planet Earth today. Global warming. And we're the cause. This second one is all about practice. And the third one is patience. Now, the patience, again, is absolutely necessary for you to even take the time to do a practice to overcome your judgmental mind and its tendency. But more importantly, it's absolutely necessary in dealing with others. And it's important in dealing with nature, because nature has its own program. It can kill you or support you. And it doesn't have a judgment. It's not saying, oh, you're great or you're a lowlife. No, it doesn't do that. It just has this natural support program so that life can arise and do whatever it does. The fourth one is diligence. This is a 24/7 Bodhisattva practice training school, night and day, from now on. Okay, we're not saying everything's permanent, but we're just saying that this has to be in place so that it's ingrained in your consciousness from the practice that you use, so that whatever situation you find yourself in, it's effective. It's accomplishing what you want, happiness, and everything that causes that. But without fixation, Yes, you could be a bodhisattva, but don't identify the bodhisattva as a permanent program. Don't identify you with that grandiose idea of being a mature human being. The fifth bodhisattva practice is mostly what this class is about, is training in meditation. But it also is training in what we call noticing the other nature of your consciousness. Meditation is about single-pointedly being able to focus using your imagination. But in using your imagination, you can connect to the elemental natures of everything around you, the earth, the water, the fire, the air, and the space. And we're going to do that meditation in a moment. But when you connect to the space, you really can't meditate on anything. There's nothing there. Space doesn't have a center. Space doesn't have a circumference. It doesn't have color codes either. So the space element is the mother element. But in meditation, you don't really meditate on space. You contemplate, which is kind of like saying you're taking it to heart. You're moving out of this idea of trying to get your mind around everything, which is not possible in all meditative situations. So there's two aspects. The experiential aspect of meditation and the accomplishment stage where everything is not experiential. And we call that, everybody wants to call that meditation. But that's contemplation. Meditation is when you have an object and you're using your imagination and your focus to hold to that object, whatever it is. Inside breath, outside object, whatever. And the sixth aspect of the Bodhisattva training school is always to remember the other bodhicitta, the other nature of your mind, is infinitely more practical to what you want, what you need, and yours and other happinesses than your drama mind. Infinitely more. And believe or not believe, you kind of know this because you can do things in that state of mind that you can't do in the experiential mind's process. One is limited, the other is not. Same mind. But we have to treat it as two separate functions until you do that. And when you do that, you're a Buddha. That's what they call Buddhahood. Well, Joe, that doesn't mean you're any greater than anybody else because we're all equal. There's no such thing as divine or supernatural. Those are things applied to maybe to our lovers. That's how we have so many humans. But all these God qualities that we assign to these religions those are our qualities. Okay, we're already omniscient, omnipresent, and omnipotent, which is the dictionary's definition of God or God. And supernatural doesn't exist in our universe. There's no such thing. Everything is natural, but different. Everything is equal on one level. And I think a good way to describe equals are all suffering from pain, physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. So we're all equal in that bowl. But at the same time, we all have different tendencies because we all came from different positions in previous lives, different drama world. That's why we have the spirit world, the animal world, and this human condition on this planet. So, we'll start tonight with the Bodhisattva training that all of the lamas, men and women of this shamanistic tradition teach, which is called the three lights prana yoga practice using breath. And myself, having trained in martial arts, particularly Tai Chi, Quan, and all my connections to those type of teachers, all started with breathing. And to the point when I first started to do these practices on Oahu in 1973, and I actually had the good fortune to find a cave on the north shore of Oahu, Hawaii, a furnished cave, can you believe that? On the ocean with a view. And I had a book called The Autobiography of the Yogi, and I practiced breathing and other methods from that for 6 months. Well, being a tourist, and it was very effective. And then when I went into the Tai Chi Quan tradition with Louis Su, my teacher, she taught me that those methods of breathing in connection with the movement of Tai Chi and the healing methods of that tradition. So all of that is basically what we're doing. But with this added flavor of giving you a taste of full maturity all the time you're doing these practices. So we do the practice, at the end of the practice, we dissolve the practice into what we call voidness or space, and relax and see what's happening in that position of your mind. Start to experience that. But intentionally, not just delve into it, hold it. And then in the post-meditational practice, refer back to it and the actual experiential part of the practice. That's what the training does. And more in your relationships with the world around you and the beings around you or in you, you start to see everything get better. And that gives you the incentive to do more practice. So we're going to do 3 lights meditation. Sit with your back straight to start with, lining up the energy centers within the body. It's all about energy. Eyes accepting the energy of space and light directly in front of the eyes. Your eyes are open. If you can't meditate with your eyes open, well then close them. Breathing through the nose. If you can't breathe through the nose, of course, breathe through the mouth. Hands in a comfortable position, either on the knees or in the lap. Head slightly tilted forward. And the mouth closed to start with. These mudras produce a very strong energy absorption process suitable for focusing the mind. Then bring your focus, your awareness, to your breath. As you inhale the air, which contains all the elements, earth, water, fire, air, space, all in the air, visualize that air coming into your lungs as white light filling your lungs. Then the spontaneous extraction of the energy is the middle breath. That's called the absorption breath. You visualize that energy passing through every cell in your body in a flash of red light. This is a code. Then you bring those 2 lights together and exhale out your nose what is called the healing breath or power breath as blue light pervading space. That's it. Inhale white light, fill your lungs. Red light absorption through your entire form body, every cell. The 2 together out the nose is blue light to connect to every being throughout space. Blue is our code for ultimate healing. Breathe with your diaphragm. As the white light fills your lungs, expand the diaphragm. Inhale. Hold for a moment as the red light energy fills your body. Compress the diaphragm and exhale the blue light out your nose. You use this breath for discipline until you feel yourself starting to settle. There's many terms for this settling, but simply it means to enter into a state of calm abiding, peace and tranquility. And more or less detached from the worldly activities of the day or night, depending on your practice. Once you notice this, then take your focus off of the breath. Combine the code of the three lights, white, red, and blue, into a single tiny dot or star, a pinpoint of energy, and locate it directly in the center of your chest, in the center of your body, creating a heart chakra energy point. In Tibetan, it's called the Bindu or Tigri. Then simply, with your state of calm abiding, allow it to disappear or merge with the infinite radiation or light that pervades the fabric of boundless space. No meditation. Simply keep your mind to that place in connection with space. It's called connecting to basic space. Contemplating the all-pervasive nature of your own inner state of awareness. From this non-judgmental state of awareness, then again produce experientially the tigri, the tiny diamond point of energy in the center of your heart chakra. With your imagination, expand that point until it creates a tiny sphere of clear light, as small as you can imagine it. In this way, you are entering into this third dimensional world. And keeping your focus on that sphere, expand it in size until it creates one of the symbols we use in the 5-element healing program method. And tonight, since we're using the medicine Buddha for practice to treat the causes of sickness and disease, we're going to use the symbol of the water element, which is a blue sphere. Each of the elements have their own geometric form, and it looks like this. But keep it as small as your thumbnail. Right in the center of your heart chakra. Label it water. Using your imagination and your focus together, meditate on it moving out in front of your body and up before your eyes where you started your practice, about 2 feet in front. Then imagine it to grow in size so you can see your physical form just as you are, sitting inside this blue sphere of light labeled water. It can be room size or just outside the reach of your fingers and toes, but that's up to you. The full psychic energy of the elements through this particular element, water, are impregnating every cell in your foreign body. That is the power of psychic healing. And because this is Bodhisattva Training School and interested in everybody else's well-being, imagine that sphere to grow in size to completely enclose this island of Kauai and surrounding ocean. Extending this healing energy program to all the beings in that area. Or if you're not here, to the town or a large area of where you're doing this practice. Expanded in size to completely enclose Mother Earth, including her atmosphere. Imagine it to grow in size to completely enclose our solar system for billions of miles in every direction. Meditate on it, expanding in size to completely enclose our spiral disc-shaped galaxy. Then move beyond the confines of your drama mind and merge it with boundless space. No meditation. Poof, you're in space. Simply be present and contemplate its potential. Judgment does not apply in this dimension of being. It is totally natural. Then intentionally move from that dimension of being again by imagining the blue sphere to enclose our galaxy. Shrink it in size to enclose the solar system. Keeping focus and imagination together, shrink it in size to just enclose Mother Earth. Smaller and smaller just to enclose our area where we are practicing, this island. Then again, smaller and tinier till it just encloses your physical form, bringing all the healing potential of the life force of the universe focused on your body. We use the term chi for energy, prana. This is chi to the mat. Then to finish, bring the symbol of the water to its original small size in front of your eyes, 2 feet in front. If you actually see it there with your natural eyes, you have a really great imagination. Drop it to chest level, bring it into your heart chakra. Shrink it in size to the small, clear light sphere. Keep the shrinking process until it reaches the tiniest particle imagined, similar to an atom. And relax in the present moment as it merges with the infinite light of space. No meditation. This is your natural mind's awareness in its purest form. Relax and drift. To finish your session, simply bring your awareness to in front of your eyes, spread it into the area where you're practicing. Smile and drink tea. Okay. That was 1 hour.
Wow.
There's no such thing as time, you know. Believe, not believe. You can experience that. You can also believe that time is manageable. You can speed it up or you can slow it down. The universe itself doesn't operate on time, even though we call our existence in this universe temporal existence. And this is another creation of our situation in the human condition, which actually doesn't exist like we experience it in the animal world. They don't think of tomorrow. They don't think, oh, the sun's coming up and the sun's going down. They don't acknowledge it. They just have their instinctual awareness program, and that's it. In the spirit world, it's even more impractical. And because of that, they say spirits are long life, because they don't have a birth. You know, when you go into the spirit world, you're not coming out of the womb, for instance, unless you want to call your body a womb. But this corpse that carries your consciousness just falls down and becomes part of the matter of the earth, or the environment. But your consciousness moves into this next state of existence in the same way you go to sleep at night and enter into the dream state. And to give you some experiential awareness about the next world, you can kind of say it's like the dream, except an infinite quantity of drama. I mean, we have a lot of drama here. You know, you turn on the news, you look, however you connect to worldly activities, global activities, you can see that. Read the newspaper, whatever. Or just in your own work, play, worldly situation to survive. But in the next life, the spirit categories of emotional, whatever you want to call it, cyclic existence or really, you see. It's like the whole universe's patterning is opening up into these huge emotional dimensions of sentient being. And according to your predisposition emotionally, you egotistically identify with one of those dramas. And if you're, like we say, God conscious, or goddess conscious, practicing worldly religions, it is very possible that that could be your next rebirth, which is okay. It's kind of like here in Hawaii, everybody wants to go to Las Vegas. Well, in the religious tradition, everybody wants to go to the celestial realm. Yeah. You know, it's good. It's a break. But they're not permanent, contrary to dogmatic belief system. And the same with each of the other three divisions of the spirit world. And then, since they're not impermanent, where do you cycle? Well, if you're fortunate, you can cycle back into the animal or human world on a planet somewhere in some solar system, in some galaxy throughout our infinite universe. But to find a human condition suitable for evolving, which is a big word, because we, on this planet, we've evolved to where we are now. It's almost impossible. Human birth is Jillian's the one to get a human, find a human womb that's suitable. And when I say suitable, there's a better word, favorable. Favorable to what? To developing spiritually. To develop in a way that you connect to the universe, the mother principle of the universe, just as it is. And use that information to support your lifestyle, just as you are. You know, and if you're an artist, well, that's good. You know, the music, the arts, the writing, and connecting the art forms and all of that, that's a form of enlightenment. We use it for all of these methods. For instance, here now tonight we have the Medicine Buddha. So we took the talk off the wall. Now there's a space up here. Well, that's what we're doing. That's your ultimate nature. But you can't get your mind around that. So what use is the mind? That's a big question. You have to find that out for yourself. Maybe there's no use for it. Oh. Now that's an idea. So entertain that. They say, well, maybe there's no use for this mind. But the Bodhisattva tradition uses the entire healing methodology of what the Buddha taught and how it's been passed down through the traditions of India, Tibet, and so forth, as I explained, to us, is immense. I have books this thick, you know, that describe all of the processes of what is now defined in their industrial age of Buddhism, which wasn't what it was called in these other countries. It wasn't called Buddhism. It wasn't called Bodhisattva Training School. That's my idea. Lama Rinchen going, we're Bodhisattva Training School. But you can pick and choose what's appropriate for you with the advice of your teacher. And the teacher is there to allow you to develop naturally. You know, it'd be no fun to go right to Buddha all at once. You know, that's like a male orgasm. It's that. You know? That's it. So the orgasmic experience is a state of joy. It's fun. And it somehow moves the mental process into a state of, what's a good word? Christians have this experience of joy, which they have a word for that. Won't come to mind.
Elation.
Huh?
Elation. Elation.
Elation? No, it's something like that. It'll come to me in a moment. But anyway, that's a mental state of enjoyment. And it's enthralling. It spreads through you physically also. There's another state of joy that we have when we become emotionally controlled. We can control our emotions of attachment, aversion, pride, jealousy, ignorance, fear, anxiety, depression, all these thousands of conflicting states that arise because of our tendency. And that's why we use meditation, because then we can settle and we get a feel for how these control us, drive us, and then
Exaltation.
huh?
Exaltation. The word.
Close. But anyway, those are the three states of joy that most of us, if we're fortunate, get to enjoy. And so the transition from the judgmental mind to the non-judgmental mind, as you just experienced using the elemental process, using psychic energy of controlling the focus and the imagination, works. But it does it symptomatically. And what the shamanistic tradition of Tibetan Buddhism, they use that a lot for survival, for actually how to grow their survival food, bhara, in Tibet. But it evolved into treating the cause of disease. And so the medicine Buddha is the symbol, which is this Tonka, this picture right here. And it's both a way of treating the symptoms of disease, mental illness, physical illness, emotional, dysfunctional problems, but it also treats the cause. And the cause is, yes, the judgmental mind, but you have to categorize them for medicine. And so what we have done is to take all these emotional afflictions and put them in 5 categories. Similar to having 5 categories of elemental energy which produces everything in the universe, our bodies included. And those 5 categories start with the judgmental quality of ignorance, not knowing how to deal with your own tendencies. And at the same time, how do you deal with everybody else's tendencies? How do you deal with the natural earth, water, fire, and air? I mean, look what it's doing on the spirit energy of the planet right now, becoming very destructive. I mean, having tornadoes every day on the mainland is not productive. So, the causal effect is knowledge, but knowledge is to take the delusionary aspect of your own consciousness and the energy of that and transform it into something that already exists because of the power of that emotional infliction, it has its own antidote. And the antidote simply is clarity itself. Establishing your mind as all-knowing, which it is. And that's how we designed Google. In Tibetan Buddhism, we have Manjushri, which is the state of practice so that you know. Here in our Dharma Center, we know. Okay, it's a very, very wonderful quality to know the cause and the result of what we are doing. Right? Without Googling. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, we have adjusted to the quality of establishing things as in a state of attachment. If you like something, if you judge it as good, you immediately become attached. And that escalates, just like delusion escalates into ignorance and bewilderment and stupidity and so forth. Well, attachment does the same thing. If you have attachment deception, it escalates on its own into desire. Desire escalates into lust. Lust desires into greed. Greed and discontent. You're neurotic to start with, but you become psychotic. That's the cause of pain and suffering. What to do? So you take that energy of the attachment and start to deal with it by discerning this other nature of your mind. It's not necessary to be like that in the other nature. Why are you doing it in this illusory world with what you want? Yeah. As we do this, we also move into the state of aversion. That aversion escalates into anger, hatred, rage, and so forth. Again, we're moving from neurosis into psychosis, which is, psychosis means you're insane. As a human being, not happening. Then we have one where we call jealousy. Jealousy is feeling that you're less than. This state of discontentment, you feel like outside of what you, inability to acquire what you need. So the antidote to that, of course, is Bodhisattva training school. That's why we have these Dharma centers. And then we have arrogance. So arrogance is actually assigned to this idea of superiority or better than. Well, then we take it to the extreme of supernatural. You know, these are made up just like time. So it carries this quality of thinking that you're greater than everybody else is dealt with the state of equanimity. Everything is equal. You know, the universe just doesn't do that. And we apply that with loving kindness and compassion as the antidote to all these afflictions. But being loving, kind, and considerate is very hard for someone all the time, night and day, under any circumstance. So when we practice it, we have what we call the 5 Dhyana Buddhas. Now those 5 Dhyana Buddhas, light Buddhas, are the antidote personified with the Buddha being the ultimate or the causal treatment of disease. And all of that, what I've just described, comes under the symbol of the medicine Buddha. And when you use the medicine Buddha in Sutra or Tantra tradition, you have the mantra, the visualization of the medicine Buddha as who you are, and its creation sound, because everything vibrates, patterning, all patterning, everything that appears has a vibratory essence or sound. And we used the sound hum, which was the exhale breath, the blue light of that three lights meditation. And it looks like, in Sanskrit, looks like that. Right? So you learn to draw this, but you also learn to visualize it here, or here, or any place where you're having an energy functional program within your body. And the mantra of the Medicine Buddha is so that the sound of your voice is expressing this sound that's in your heart to others. The spirit, this is where the word spirituality or shamanism comes into play. So you have mantra, you have mudra, you have meditation, and you have what we call the experience of space, Mahamudra, the great seal, the great position of your mind. And that treats as the cause of these emotional afflictions, those 5 categories. So the Medicine Buddha sits on an 8-petal lotus. 5 of those petals are those 5 applications to treat emotional affliction and bring in an antidote so that the cause of the disease is erased. That sounds too simple, but it works. Also, people who are healers, doing massage and acupuncture and teaching Tai Chi, Quan, and all of this, various applications of symptomatic medicine, can do this, use this to enhance their progress, their situation. Then there are 3 more categories that have to do with your body, speech, and mind actually producing dis-ease. And the first of these is lack of loving kindness and compassion. So that one we use peaceful and wrathful deities based on what we call the Chenrezig of Avalokiteshvara, which is this symbol, that one, 1,000-armed Chenrezig in various forms. Then we have the next is the not knowing, the delusionary process. And on that one, we use the deity Manjushri, which is the one above my head, that one, with a flaming sword and a lotus by the left ear, all of that. Like Google, so that you gain the knowledge, and not only knowledge, but the insight to treat medicine symptomatically and causally to heal. Okay, so that's the 7th. The 8th petal is being loving, kind, and considerate. Sometimes doesn't work. Like with children, some children. I was one of them. You have to be a little more stern, is the best word. Show a little more force, discipline. And in some cases, a lot more. And that is what we call the protector or wrathful aspect. So you simulate anger. You don't feel the anger, you simulate it. You show it. Like that, like dog. But you're not feeling it. It's just that, show maybe really serious. Show who? The situation of the spirit, animal, or human that's causing the dysfunction in you. And that's ultimate shamanism. And that's where the word shaman comes from. Or Sha woman. The man always likes to have, it's a man, Sha man. Women are better at this than men. Should be called Sha woman. And then you use the speech, the patterning, and the imagination for the effect.
What's the name of the deity? The wrathful deity.
Well, the wrathful deity is not sitting there like Chenrezig is standing. This one, right? That one, no, that one, that one. I'm trying to get it in the picture. This one, standing, and his 10th head is a protector. The first 9 heads are looking at the spirit world as the heavenly spirits, the world of humans and animals, and the demonic spirit. And there's 3 heads in each of those 3 realms, body, speech, and mind, of the Bodhisattva. But when you get to the combination of all that together, there's a lot of that we call aggression going on. War, famine, disease, poverty, environmental destruction, and all kinds of other drastic, terrible situations in different spirit condition that are not controlled by simple loving kindness and compassion. It just won't work. So you have to go to the protector and the Dakini in a forceful mode. And that one comes under the deity Vajrapani or Vajrayogini. And either separate or in union. So those are the 8 categories of causal healing that can be applied symptomatically or with practice. So we're going to do that. The color code is blue. The symbol Hon comes with the breath. We'll do that to start. And then it's placed in the heart center where we place that small tigri when we did the 3 lights meditation. I'll explain that in a moment. But it's going to be this instead of that tiny connection radiation to space. And then the mantra is a combination of you extending your healing energy altruistically to every animal, human, and spirit that ever existed or exists presently in the entire universe. Future, you can do that too. Back straight. Head slightly tilted. Eyes open. Mouth closed. Hands in a comfortable position. Head, they say head tilted. Breathe. Breathe the 3 lights. As you inhale the white light of the 5 elements, the air into your lungs is white light. You hear the sound Om. The spontaneous extraction of the elemental energies pass through your body to every cell. You visualize red light flashing through, and you hear the sound Ah. Then the code of these 2 together, the red light and the white light with the Om and the Ah, come together and produce the blue light out the nose as an ultimate healing energy to every being in the universe. You hear the sound Hum. Inhale white light, fill the lungs, Om. Energy healing through the body, Ah, red light. That's the code. Then both of those together, out the nose is blue light. You hear Om. Now just that sound, Om, will heal. Just the color code blue will heal. So you bring those 2 into your heart center. You collect all the 3 lights and the 3 sounds into the womb, color it blue, and bring that sound and that color code into your heart center. And enclose it with a 5-colored sphere of light. So that the 5-element application that we used previously is now part of this ultimate healing, causal healing program. Then you extend the light of that to your root Lama, or whoever is teaching you this medicine Buddha practice, either as a sutra or a tantric practice, like we're doing now, and connecting to all the lamas of Tibetan Buddhism, past, present, future, because they all do this. It's a global happening, actually. Then that energy now comes into you in the home, and your root Lama, your teacher, appears in front. Then from the teacher's forehead, white light comes into your forehead, and the sound Om appears in the center of your head as a healing, we call it power for your body. The Ah is red light from the teacher's throat into your throat, is so that all the energy of your body and its power will come out in your speech. That's what we call the mantra effect. Your body is going to be the deity or the Buddha image of the medicine Buddha. Then from the blue light in the Lama's heart in front, blue light comes into the home in your heart, and the wisdom transformation or empowerment energy of all the people practicing, all that support comes into your heart center. At that moment, when you can see those 3 lights coming from your teacher into you, you become the medicine Buddha. And the teacher merges into you at that moment. They say like water into water. Then you simply collect these 3 lights, the white Om in your head, the red Ah in your throat, into the blue Hung in your heart, and be the medicine Buddha. Sitting on an 8-petal lotus with the sun and moon disk, and the 5 dhyana Buddhas and the 3 healing deities are on those 8 petals. This application is for all of the spirits, humans, and animals in the entire universe. That altruistic motivation, which you started your practice with tonight, taking refuge, causes the mantra, vibration or sound, to appear as a circle of symbol around the home inside your heart chakra, inside the 5-colored sphere with the Om in front. And it creates this mantra, Tadyata, which means all that collection. Om. Bikanzi, Bikanzi, Maha Bikanzi, Rajda Samangate, Soha. This mantra is sounded to treat all disease, symptomatically or causally, caused physically, mentally, or emotionally with your judgmental drama tendency. That's it. Tadyata. Om Bikanzi, Bikanzi, Ma Bikanzi. Radhasamgate Soha. Tadyata. Om Bikanzi, Bikanzi, Ma Bikanzi. Radhasamgate Soha. Tajata Om Vikanji Vikanji Maha Vikanji Vajrasamgati Soha Tajata Om Vikanji Vikanji Maha Vikanji Vajrasamgati Soha Tajata Om Vikanji Vikanji Maha Vikanji Vajrasamgati Soha Tajadom Vikanji Vikanji Maha Vikanji Rajda Samgati Soha Tajadom Vikanji Vikanji Maha Vikanji Rajda Samgati Soha Tajadom Vikanji Vikanji Maha Vikanji Rajda Samgati Soha Tajata Om Vikanji Vikanji Om Vikanji Rajasamgati Soha Tajata Om Vikanji Vikanji Maha 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 Vikanji Rajasamgati Soha Tajata Om Vikanji Rajasamgati Soha Tajata Om Vikanji Vikanji Maha Vikanji Now this mantra is circling the home. So energy from the home is blazing through every nadi channel in your body, thousands of light form energies to all your cells. The mantra is stationary and the letters face outward, and it is pouring energy through your body as the medicine Buddha. And then your body is emanating out every pore and every orifice, healing light to all the 6 realms of sentient beings, the 4 of the spirit world, and wherever animals and humans take birth on planet. That is all inclusive. That's your all pervasive nature of your natural mind. This is how it is effective. Tajata Om Vikanji Vikanji Maha Vikanji Rajasamgati Soha 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 Tajata Om Vikanji Vikanji Maha Vikanji Rajasamgati Soha. If you're in India, the mantra is Tajata Om Vakanji Vakanji Maha Vakanji Rajasamgati Soha Tajata Om Vakanji Vakanji Maha Vakanji Rajasamgati Soha Tajata Om Vakanji Vakanji Maha Vakanji Rajasamgati Soha Tajata Om Vakanji Vakanji Maha Vakanji Rajasamgati Soha. Outside of India, Tajata Om Vikanji Vikanji Maha Vikanji Rajasamgati Soha Tajata Om Vikanji Vikanji Maha Vikanji Rajasamgati Soha Tajata Om Vikanji Vikanji Maha Vikanji Raja Samgati Soham Rajadom Vikanji Vikanji Mam Vikanji Raja Samgati Soham. Tadyata means to collect all of the empowering energy of all of the practice of this wherever it has been done, is being done, or will be done. So that's Tadyata. Om means all the healing life force of the universe concentrated into you. Vikanji means blue for the body, feel the body. Vikanji, again, that's for the mental process. And the Maha Vikanji is for the empowerment of your emotional program to transform to non-judgmental. No attachment, no aversion, no pride, no jealousy, no delusion, ignorance, no fear, anxiety, depression, all these thousands of negative tendencies that cause disease, that are the cause of all disease, pain and suffering. Be transformed into healing energy. So that's what we say, Rajda. Rajda means for good health and whatever supports good health. Samungate means into the natural mind or Buddha nature or maturity. So Svaha in Sanskrit. This means always increasing, not ever ending. If there's a need for it, it exists. And all pervasive. So that's Sloga. Tajadom Viganji Viganji Ma Viganji Rajasamgati Soha. 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 Tajadom Viganji Viganji Ma Viganji Rajasamgati. Tajadom Viganji Viganji Ma Viganji Rajasamgati Soha. 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 Tajadom Viganji Viganji Ma Viganji. The medicine Buddha is dressed in golden robes, blue. Its whole skin tone is blue. Hair piled These are called the three rows of the Lama. And this empowerment, your body, speech, and mind is fully empowered, whether you're a monk, a nun, a householder, a yogi, or a yogini doing this practice. And the right hand holds the myrobalan fruit. In Western countries, you could say the marijuana or some other healing herb that takes care of all of the propensities of physical, mental, and emotional necessities. And the left hand holds a begging bowl, which is the nectar of the non-judgmental mind, as pervading to all states of emotional rebirth, all the spirit world, animal world, and human realm. So that is all inclusive as the medicine Buddha and the mudra. So this is the positions of the hands like this. Then the mantra circling in the heart and this poem pervade through your situation physically, but no, like the sun's energy fills our solar system. Full support everywhere to everyone. Never ceasing. This universe has no beginning, middle, or end. Like that. Ajadom Vikanti Vikanti Ma Vikanti Rajasamgati Soha. Ajadom Vikanti Vikanti Ma Vikanti Rajasamgati Soha. Ajadom Vikanti Vikanti Ma Vikanti Rajasamgati Soha. Sajadom Vikanti Vikanti Mam 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 Vikanti Rajasamgati Soha. Now what you have done is you've empowered with your breath and the patterning of your body being the medicine Buddha, your voice. So that vibratory sound together with the breath, if you are using a mala in your practice, you can now take your mantra and blow it into your mala. This is called the empowering of this counting spiritual practice. If you're taking a break and drinking tea or eating cookies or something, and you can blow it into your drink or your food. Sajadom Vikanti Vikanti Mam Vikanti Rajasamgati Soha. If you're making medicines or herbs, either for smoothies or for mixtures to drink or eat, to put in your food, you can blow the mantra into those. There's all kinds of uses. If somebody is sick and you're taking care of them, you can blow it into them. They don't have to hear the mantra even. Your practice establishes it in your breath. And then somebody's leaving their body, very powerful, animal or human. If they're already dead, then this mantra is effective for helping them to gain a favorable situation in the next life. Sajadom Vikanti Vikanti Mam Vikanti Rajasamgati Soha. It comes from your heart, not your head. Powerful. Sajadom Vikanti Vikanti Mam Vikanti Rajasamgati Soha. Sajadom Vikanti Vikanti Mam Vikanti Sajadom Vikanti Vikanti Mam Vikanti Rajasamgati Soha. Om Viganzi Viganzi Om Viganzi Rajasamagati Soha Tajam Viganzi Viganzi Ma Viganzi Rajasamagati Soha Tajam Viganzi Viganzi Ma Viganzi Rajasamagati Soha. Now this is all the creation energy program of using the medicine Buddha, the mantra, the seed cloud of home, and the five-colored sphere of the elements, all of that together to train your mind to use your imagination and your focus in the most ultimate powerful way to causally cause healing to take place at the basic level of what starts disease and transform it into healing energy as the cause of good health. And using the five Dhyana Buddhas, you use those, that process as the medicine Buddha using this chart as the five symbols of the five Dhyana Buddhas to connect with the five elemental healing practice. These are inseparable. One produces the other. These are five states of awareness, and these are the five elemental creation symbols of the universe. This is the mother principle, and this is the method or the father principle. These two together are inseparable. If you hold them up to the light, they merge. You're holding them up to the light of your mind. Now, all of that is Bodhisattva training for the creation stage of tantric practice. Then at the end of your session, you collect all of the light energy going out back into you, and together with all the sentient beings in the universe as the medicine Buddha. So they've all been transformed into their ultimate nature, non-judgmental mind. As they all come into you from every direction, you become the central figure in the space of your mind. Then you disappear into the five-colored sphere in your heart center. It dissolves into the mantra circling the home. The mantra syllables disappear into the home. The home disappears into space. No color code. Right in the center of your heart. No meditation. Simply be present in the moment, right now. Relax. Allow your sensual process to do whatever it is doing. No blocking. Your thought process to proceed. Thoughts arise from space. They are no different than the light of space and return to space. No physical experience is necessary. No mental projection is necessary. No emotional program. No mind. At the end of this non-contemplative state, we say no meditation or connecting to non-judgmental awareness. You move again into your yidam practice. The yidam is whatever deity you are assuming for mind training, Chenrezig, Tara, whatever your sutra or tantric practice teachers, with the teacher's advice that you are training in. All of this world is illusory. Therefore, on that level of illusoriness, it is manipulative. And with this focus and meditation practice, you can easily become accomplished as a healer for yourself, at least that. And in some cases, for others. Relaxing in the timeless moment is the essence of the ultimate nature of your natural mind. And the more and more you do that, you accomplish what is called timeless awareness. And you refine that, and that's where they get the term purifying or refining a Buddha field. This process causes one to remove oneself from cyclic emotional drama world existence and cycle upward into higher and higher states of awareness, which become more and more universally acceptable as compassion, effective compassion and loving kindness for others. Compassion, power, and insight is a mature human being when they're fully together. Body, speech, and mind. Compassion, power, and insight. Om, Ah, Om. But at the end of the practice session, you dedicate the merit to the benefit of all living beings, your mothers. And we're going to use the prayer on your refugee. Ewa di nerju da, chagya champo drugirne, chowa chinking malupa, dei sala goparsho, Sanjay kuso nempai jumma choni negur nempai jumma dam, gendum viche jumpai jumma ki, chitar gomam omam dru pao sho. By this virtue of having realized Mahamudra, may I quickly establish all beings without a single exception in that state. By the blessings of the three bodies of the Buddha being accomplished, by the blessing of the truth of the Dharma itself being unchanging, and by the blessing of the wishes of the Sangha, that's us, being unwavering, may this dedication prayer be fulfilled. And my Tashi prayer is that all the Lamas have long life, good health, happiness, and prosperity, and all their wishes be fulfilled. On this planet, all beings have happiness and the cause of happiness, be away from suffering and the cause of suffering. Through practice, be all established in bliss and tranquility, and become emotionally stable, removing themselves from attachment, aversion, pride, jealousy, and ignorance. As we say thank you in Tibetan, Tuchi Che, in Hawaiian, mahalo, for coming together this way for this session tonight. Much aloha.